这出现没到长这了。康尼啊，大呀，我呀他，我来帮过军长我在外，你话，刚才帮当把当帮过军长似的，来帮过军长，但来帮过军长得了洗钱。矿机被难一百，提出来帮我吃吧，来几周才能就把帮就把光吧，来让跟我老三呢，白白帮我吃吧，来都有主人吧没人吧，有人呗，差吧没人吧，我这他这月本哪呢？他谈不，我矿机被难一百，就来帮我吃的，才在这儿，他不得的，矿机被就，矿机被难一百，提就来帮我吃吧，矿的，你东海机难一百，提就来帮我吃吧的啦，看这这屋几个样，他们就能拿没吧，这几个样，也吧。他呢看了真没出入是啊，但罗这单把写了单把那么子，啥把他结为来的，就把咖啡关了，啥把他结为来过什么节，你打哦来了，是吧？另外有什么节来了就把咖啡关了，你花帮我吃的是，他嘛你看是，你看哦。谈不得了，你把这样没下去，给我比如说说话这是干了那些钱呢？俺那个过什么的来没搞的帮，就真穷个干啥？过什么的来的干啥的？但呢，俺那过什么的来没给我现在恰当么说帮的，他都算过了是吧？因让的了，老单把那这啥把他结为，那么就把咖啡过呢，俺那夸帮我吃的是咋的了？看这这不几个样，看个这他妈没把呢，对对方位，俺呢来去，对对方位中华党中州，中华党中州党是吧？什么说话这不几个样，俺呢他民主就你虽然那样那没把题材是，看这不几个样，他们就那没把，但来的他们要把这那没把题材是。这不几了样，就他也把给我烫呢，你希望看了就把没兄弟是的啦，这几了样，给把烫呢看了就没就是的。
So the next point is showing the reasons why one ought to get rid of karma, abandon it. And it says multiple subdivisions, showing that because it is the source, reason for having the terror of samsara, then one ought to get rid of the cause of that. The terrors of samsara, or the cause for them is the karma itself. And then by thinking about the results of karma, how it's appropriate, how one should cultivate fear of the results of karma, and then by thinking about having thought about the basic character of karma, how one ought to get rid of it, make effort to get rid of it, and then showing that it's inappropriate to have attachment it's inappropriate to be attached to karma because it is the cause of happiness. And so the first point there is expressed in the next verse, where it says one should make effort to get rid of the cause of the frightful samsara. The cause of that is the karma which gives rise to it, so it ought to be gotten rid of. And that's expressed in verse 160, where it says, when a single effect's original cause is not seen, original or first cause is not seen, and one sees the extensiveness regarding even a single effect, or you could say, yeah, that a single cause can give rise to massive results. Who would not be afraid? And so the introduction to that verse says, the intelligent could also mean those who have wisdom or discernment, rid themselves of samsara by stopping the process or the operation of contaminated karma. And the further comment says, no one can perceive the original cause of even a single effect. So an effect, single effect doesn't have one single cause. That is, when we observe any kind of thing that occurs, there's no first point in time at which a cause existed that gave rise to that effect. The chain of causality preceding any particular effect is beginningless. And then the translation here says, which as an element or an elemental derivative, the mind and so forth, which are the outcome of beginningless continuity. 디 중당 중교 디 중화당 중교를 디 그래서 제 유로바 강기세 독문매번 규대 온
사바다제 런지 유박가 코아봉아 토마매번에 규대 온위 중화선나 중화 사주 멜롱 거 중화체 그러나 용주세가 아니 중화를 주베리자 리자다 중화당 중주 기리자당 셈라 소베 셈라 소와 저우지기양 통미 규대라 아니 수라양 나와 민바 티체 아니 저부지라양 규타야바 개발 통네 아니 가소레 집안 매중데 집 디기니 디기 빠그메람베 마레베 상징기 체규가유 거의 가유 거의 조천보라 따도 교와당 스타 마리고 왕글레산에 아니 코아리 개와기 거의 조천보 코아리 개위가 아니 동아도 세바 아니 텔라 따도 교와기 해송인지.
So yes, so that's when we look at a single effect, such as a thing composed of elements, the earth, water, fire, wind, or things which are composites or derivatives of those elements, or if that applies even to physical causality as well. But likewise with respect to mind, the things, mental factors and so forth, which are the outcome of a beginningless continuity. When one realizes that even a single effect has a limitless multitude of causes, what childish person would not be afraid, or what foolish person would not be afraid of that if they understood that. Therefore, one should always feel aversion toward and strive for the means to gain liberation from this vast wilderness of samsara, made difficult to cross by thickets of ignorance, and which fails to comprehend its continuity.
Oh yeah, that digi karso resena. 규타야바 디베라 자이 품바다 보지라양 규이와 사야바 타야바 고와 나신체니 아니 저 코위 동아 될라양 주 아니 빠도메 봐요바 다디 타야바 요바데 베샤기요 임바다.
So the example is given here, even a single clay pot requires a limitless variety of causes, and just like that, a single entity within samsara requires a limitless variety of causes or chain of causality to produce it.
Oh yeah, that's it. That leji debu dunga. 아니 동아와라 삼네 아니 집밥 공부니 레지 대우라 삼네 집밥 공부니 대우 탐정에 봐니 루바르 주와 마이신 루랑에와 타주나 테이텐도 지데 dom세 강기텐도 아니다 세베 주바데 대자고 꾸네 랑데 레체비 대우 내가 좀나 세베 꾸네 라베 레체비 대우 내가 좀나 베르나 양 아니 가소래 여부 탐정해 봐니 지금 빙하와니 세체 강기시베 goodness, Lambi, the Ashi with the Wuton Jangawatuna Berina Yang. The what Pisum saw a loss of it, Jebu Yang, Jebu Yang, Tam Janin, never Duba Juba, my issues. The what Pisum saw a loss of it, Jebu Yang, Tam Jan, never Duba, my issues. Juba Tam Jang, and it Tatter, and in Jibber, and in Jibber Tuna. Chinji Loki Tendo. 요 체질로그 되도 고수 지디 좀내디 코르 팸빌레 빵와라 배고 그래서 코르 팸벌 쳐봐게 이 코르지와 팬적이 팸벌 쳐베 팬적이 내 빵발에 배바 쳐 그래 세데 저부두와 많이 지 둘랑와 타주나서.
So the next point is that by thinking about the results of karma, one should cultivate terror with respect to it, fear of that. And this is given in verse 161, where it says, since all results will not definitely be achieved, and those that are will certainly come to an end, why exhaust yourself for their sake? Effort would be appropriate if the results of actions for a specific purpose, motivated by attachment, could definitely be achieved. It is, however, not certain that you will achieve the results you're striving for, such as perfect or complete happiness. Moreover, whatever is achieved is sure to disintegrate or perish in the end. Why exhaust yourself physically, verbally, and mentally to achieve mistaken objectives? Make effort to give up actions that project, impel one to take up rebirth in samsara, in cyclic existence.
나 가르쳐 배세라. 배나 주바 망내신. 주바 남자 내가 주바기 안에 장관 그 자소 동안 하시래.
The example that's given for this, when a potter fires his pots, it is not certain whether they will turn out well, and those that do occur, that are produced properly, will certainly or definitely disintegrate.
Oh, yeah. That's what Lerang all a son a bebe power chabanese. Ani, oh, Miki Lerang all a son a bebe power chavani. Lenny Bebers Bebe Chejuji, Chesin Beba Mebachi. Chida Chujan, Chida Chujan Chelago, Lela Chata Gayo means. Oh, Debusin to Lejang about Jube. Juba, about Juba Goa, and Juba Casa Jube, Goa Meba Beba Michates, Debusin to Legend Juba, never Jube. Jibes, and you go on by glass, and a better show at the Michates. Oh, then in Beba Cheju, and Katsibala Sovi Lenny, Combatibala Sovi Lenny, Bebe Chaba Jushin, Lenny Bebe Cheju Ching. Combatibala Sovi Le, Chesin, Beba Mebayang, Bezo Mebayang, Jibe, and a Teta Jujang. Chela, 대고 철라니 다둔 대다를 제배 내가 차바단 차바 가야 여바 민배세요 내가 차바단 차바 가야 여배 아니 단이 렘보다 마셔봐 잠이
So the next point is that once one has thought about the basic character of karma, then why one ought to make effort to get rid of it, to abandon it, and that's given in verse 162, where it says, since actions themselves, like their results, are bound to perish or disintegrate, do not exert yourself meaninglessly or for no purpose. And the verse says, once it is done, work done with effort, without effort, it disintegrates, effortlessly disintegrates. Though this is so, still you are not at all free from attachment to actions, to karma. Karma, here it's work, or is another way to translate karma, is karma or work, like building a wall, requires effort, but when it is finished, it disintegrates effortlessly. One doesn't need to exert oneself because the wall will eventually disintegrate without your doing anything to make it happen. This being so, since you still do such things, your utter lack of freedom from attachment to karma shows how foolish you are. It takes effort, and then the example is given.
Oh yeah, Bena reads no bebe tushi. 안 두바데 배바 매바 제와시노 세
The example is like it takes effort to place a stone on top of a mountain to carry it up there, but it'll just fall down on its own without any effort. It doesn't require effort to do that.
야다 다시와 레 데위 주인배 차바 메르바니 내가 대와 유미신 대와 아니 마음바라야 유민배 다다 중앙야 조니지 최진아데 강치인세 가데 베베레 지장 데위 주인배 차바단 차와 메샤오 셴나 배조 체베레 지장 데위 주인배 차바단 차와 메샤오 셴나 남시 대화를 땜베기 대화 랑자바 요와 말에 메딕 아니 대화 랑자바 가버셔 내가 대화 유미신스 남시 마음바라양 여바 많이 말했어 아니 대화 맞지버셔 마음바라야 유미라스 남시 다다와 총와라 거지 리신 거지 그 지신 저와 니데 아니 이때도 좀 대화 말했어 대화 실체발라 동안 가동아 실체발라 대화 맞아 마도 이때도 좀 대화 매나 최지 나와대 강거치 인 아니 저음에 발라 배바 미르소
The next point is it's inappropriate to be attached to karma, even if it is a cause for some happiness. And this is given in verse 163. Someone might say, though actions which karma or action which requires exertion does perish, one cannot free oneself from attachment to them because they are a source of pleasure. And the reply to that is, in the verse, there is no pleasure in relation to either the past or the future. That which occurs now too is passing. Why do you weary yourself? There can be no real pleasure in relation to past consciousness, since it has already ceased. Nor can there be pleasure in relation to future consciousness, since it is not yet produced. Moreover, a consciousness which is occurring now disintegrates moment by moment and passes away. Since there is no reliable happiness, why do you wear yourself out striving for it?
아니 배나 취점도 칸바적바데 아니 나신스가 다 취자와 저하는다 취점도 칸바적바 나시레서
So striving for an effect which is impossible to achieve is like building a house on the bank of a river.
나 전에다 동아제제길래가 아니 뽕이 출라다 사제길래 내가 니모니 그는 내 뽕이 출대라 수마치다 뽕이 출라 아니 소놈 개외래 연로하다 미제제기 아니 개외래 되라 아니 소놈 질레스 거래 소놈 등금 개외래 아니 소놈 민바 아니 난로 제제기 아니 미게 외래 되라 소놈 많이 빌레사 소놈 많이 빌레스 세가 이제 소놈 질레라 세바가바다 소놈 많이 빌레라 세바가바 이천 안에 다 담보 소놈 질레 dentro che sono gile ani lela seba kaba tela sebe tori gitendo le so ba chi kaba sebe dewa tone dewa nyene dewa drowa ye kaba tori gitendo le so ba chera do kaba chene ta sum chene 다 담보 소남질에 가서 스베 토리지던데 소바 칠 가바텔라 스베 토리지던데 소바 칠 가바텔라 니기나네 파바 남지 토리다 충분냐와 충분을 받아 대다 소어 남지 대다 따나 또나 대마도도 겨울에 좋아 세대다 대인발이 파바 남지 토리장 냐와다 추비 스베 지바를 봐 세대 나딘 데레 케와 남라스 케와 파파 남라 저 케와 파파 남라 아니다 토리장 냐와 단주 진치 직수송 토리데 던저기 아니 가서래 대화 탐제 냐와다 숨바 안동아 제와 기바 숨거다 나마 꾸도 되는 세가 미지고 시 토르지 텐도 토르지 대위 텐도 개위래 샤워 셴나 개코나 영어선도 되베 태와 남라니 살아서비 토르장 니몬 차비 매 바르바탕 태와나 토르 니몬 차비 매 바바탕 드무기 민변 드바서 냐와당 송반 지파 제베 어다 인조 3밀리지랜다 동아지 라신라 마대바 인장 냐와다 송바기 지파 제바 추데 남바 꾼도 파바남라 안에 시비 핀 동아라 안에 지 핀조라 지파 미제바 꾼베 안에 로단 담바 남지 코이 예미 삼바 차오 세오 Yeah.
So the next topic is the actual way of getting rid of this attachment to karma, and this is first is expressed within that subject, the way of stopping one's attachment or craving for the results of meritorious karma. Here, karma, there are different forms of it. There's meritorious karma or virtuous karma. There's non-meritorious karma, non-virtuous karma. Meritorious karma produces the principal cause or principal result of it is rebirth in one of the higher states of existence, like being born as a human or as a god. And then the primary result of non-virtuous or non-meritorious karma is rebirth in one of the lower realms of existence, hell, hungry ghost, animals. And so here the subject is negating the attachment to that to karma that produces even meritorious sorts of results, virtuous or pleasant kinds of results. So then the first topic there is showing how to stop attachment to or craving for karma, meritorious karma. First shows the in a general way how to stop accumulating karma for the sake of being reborn in one of the higher states of existence out of a craving or attachment. And then there are multiple other subdivisions showing how how difficult it is to go from a pleasant or happy state of existence to another pleasant or happy state of existence, and then specific negation of the accumulation of karma for the sake of being reborn into one of these higher states of existence. And the first topic here is the general rejection of accumulation of karma for the sake of being reborn into a higher state of existence out of attachment or craving. And the first point of that is that the Aryas, Arya beings who have understood reality, see even these high states of existence, being born as a human or a god, as similar to hell. And because they see it that way, it's appropriate to have terror of those high states of existence. And then there's a subsequent subject which will follow after that. So the first one is given here in verse 164, that the Aryas see the high states of existence of birth in heaven and hell, heaven and as a human, as similar to being born like hells. And that's given in verse 164. The introduction to that says that one ought to create, someone might say, one ought to create the virtuous karma in order to experience, for the sake of the pleasures of high states of existence, birth as a human or divine being. And the reply to that's given in the verse. The wise feel the same fear for even a high rebirth as for the hells. It is rare indeed for a worldly state not to produce fear in them.
Oh yeah. Ani sibala jowa meko wasa. Ani sibi ndawa mus. Sibi pinzola. Ani jowa magomba. Ani dendri ten la, rang dendri ten la, tori la. Ani rang ngoyi kwane. Ani ndawa ma yuwan to tone. 텐더위 아니 대위 텐도 세배 내서바데 까바레스 까바 예제스 이 텐도 내서바데 까바 예제스 아니 다 타비치도 삼미된 규사보 삼미된 규상 규서바 까바로나 아니 가서래 남바 탐제도 미루로 사카상 주와나시 전에 탐제 제발 주비 땡도 아니 치도 아니 사람이 아니 리된 토비치도 규서바가 아니 가바라 규서바 가바로나 남바 탐제도 미루 시간다 가서래 타바 주비 땡라 아니 참이 땡여도 거봐 인장 가상 한번 lunde 시와나시 전에 리데 다다 통매장 대다옛날 아니 리데 송고래 소나시 전에 타비치도 리데 규서바 고발라 로나 아니 남바 탐제도 미루
So then the remainder of that says that even high rebirths as gods and so forth are ablaze with the fire of rampant, disturbing mental afflictions and shrouded in the darkness of ignorance like the hells. These high states of birth as being a god or a human produce fear in the wise who have direct perception of reality. She's translating Deni as suchness. I use reality for that. As it is rare indeed for any worldly state not to inspire the Aryas with fear, intelligent people, those who have discerning wisdom, should consider the disadvantages, the negative consequences of samsara, and the accumulation of actions out of craving based on seeing a high rebirth as something attractive in itself, without cultivating aversion to worldly existence is rejected. However, it is completely wrong to prevent and give up the accumulation of causes for life as a god or human for the purpose of liberation. This point was made previously, where it said that when we crave a craving out of an attachment to pleasure and creating meritorious karma in order to be reborn as a god or a human out of the craving for the pleasure of those high states of existence is completely inappropriate. However, it's a big mistake to misconstrue the rejection of that as entailing a rejection of creating meritorious karma in order to be reborn as a human or as a god in order to develop the path to liberation, and in particular to develop the path to omniscience, the state of a Buddha. So as was said previously in the scriptural quotations that were cited, it's actually important, and in fact the Buddha told us we have to maintain and preserve our human life and create the causes to achieve an excellent life in the future for the purpose of progressing towards the achievement of liberation and Buddhahood. But but on the other hand, it's inappropriate to try to create those causes simply to experience pleasure, the pleasure of humans and gods in the future.
Oh yeah. Bena jawu shiwi zora na tayang. Ane tse tatuba ane jalam ji kone neo gowe ane chiwa la ma zwa shino.
Example that's given here for this is there was a king, and King Bala was his name, and when someone was released from that, they were nevertheless compelled to follow a single kind of conduct. She says single pattern of behavior. They had to do a single kind of thing till the end of their life, and therefore they were not actually freed from bondage, even though they were out of jail.
다들이 대다를 세 개와 남을 토르자 냐와 탄주 지바께 봐 대다를 안에 소소 겨워 남지 쫀도나 안에 테마다 겨워를 줘봐 테마다 겨워를 줘니 가대 시황 남군도 코유 동아 시주나 시황 코유 동아 시주나 끝이 될라 삼단이 현직된도 지바 주로서 다들 다시 시와나 신신 파베스바 대다 시비 핀조 탐제 냐와다 총바 안에 지바께와 시비 핀조면 지바께바 파베스바 대다 가대 시황 남바군도 코유 동아 무슨도 시월에 주나 까지 되는 라 셈데 니나니 류단 현직도 땐도 지버리 추가 지나 마도베 아니 다 대화나와래
So then the next point is that if sentient beings understood, ordinary persons understood it like that, then they would immediately faint. They would faint immediately. So what it says, if ordinary persons understood things like that, meaning the way has just been expressed, the way Aryas see even the pleasurable experiences of humans and gods as being like hell, if ordinary persons really fully understood that, they would faint from terror. And the verse here says that if childish or foolish beings understood in all respects the sufferings of samsara, then in that very moment their minds would be completely annihilated. Together they would be totally annihilated. And so it says that the way in which the Aryas see this, if foolish, childish beings in all ways were able to directly perceive and directly understand the sufferings of samsara, in that very moment their minds here, this is referring like to their hearts, the sort of like sense of existence that they have, and together with their bodies would be totally disintegrate. But because they don't understand that, they dwell happily in samsara.
다시 가서 배나 암비치와 대변라 차배 뒤텐도 안에서 동화시노.
The example that's given for this is there was a king Indrabala who sacrificed his name was Indrabala, and he sacrificed his life out of his desire to be a chief.
Oh yeah, that's it. Oh, the one and dendro. Oh, the one draw never kawala, muji turn down. 아니 디바 미제바 토르지텐도 세바 까바오 미제베 토르지텐도 세바 까바오 다 담봉어지 된라 가서래 심지어 롬바 잼민고 롬젠이제 담바메 대난나네 나와니 로와시도 야가송 소 되기다 가르송도 세나 나고 아니 코아나 Aryadeva, longe pisun soada, demba, dewa chanas, dewa singate kanjila segala, da Aryadeva, lu longe pisun soada, demba jila, dewa chana. No tendra with dewa tela ya joa ride, joa ride, risambola sovi, semjang, ajaji lomba jam mimba. Ajaji lomba jam mayimba gunshin. ngajaji lomba 태양 아니 초도 도진 랑다 냠바 ngaja와다 사발라 아니 양 사발라 차도 양 냠바라 댄심 차도당 냠바당 사발라 차도 그 셴바 되베 시르바 섬전 롬바 제민 근신 롬바 태양 랑라 초도 도시 랑다 냠바당 사발라 차도 그 셴바 되베 이제도 담바 매바 인제 되나 나완 좋아 신도 예거와 세야지 나완이 덴드로 좋아 그러와 나완이 세바지 덴드로 바다 덴드로 좋아네 신도 예거와 루시라 소발라 순서.
So this next point is that how difficult it is to find an example of a person that goes from happiness to happiness, and this happiness to happiness here refers to from a desirable state of existence, one of the upper realms, into again reborn into the upper realm of existence. How rare that is, and this has the actual topic, and then showing the next point is a rejection of the idea that that one should have attachment in order to, out of attachment and a wish to be reborn in a higher realm of existence, one should engage in negative sorts of actions, negative karma. The first point here is given in verse 166, where it says that it's rare to find a sentient being who is not arrogant or proud, and those who are arrogant generally don't have any compassion at all. And because of that, it's extremely rare to find a person who goes from light to light. So then the commentary on this says, in samsara, it's generally held that someone who is born into a high status, into a high caste or class, who has excellent wealth, they enjoy nice, their bodies are beautiful, they have all of these various wonderful things, that they're generally considered to be happy. And it's very rare for someone, nevertheless, it's appropriate to have aversion towards that, even to that high status of rebirth, because sentient beings who enjoy these good rebirths, good births as like in a high class or high status, generally, it's very rare to find one who isn't arrogant, who isn't haughty because of their pride. And those who are haughty and arrogant in that way, they consider themselves to be the best, and they consider those who are equal to them, or they consider themselves even to be superior to those who are equal to them. And out of that, when they're vying with those who are close to being equal to them, they have a wish to destroy them out of the envy that they feel. And thus, it's very rare to find somebody who has any compassion, who enjoys that kind of status. Therefore, it's extremely rare to find a person that goes from light to light. Light to light here is a metaphor probably for going from a high state of rebirth and high status especially into another high status kind of life. And this is, the verse here says it's said, and the source for this is the Agama Vastu, which is a basic portion of the Vinaya, another part of the Vinaya Vastu.
Oh yeah, they can't so them. No one draw ne. She doing go Lucy la soon, Lucy la so la soon so say that Lucy got the departure in Jerusalem. Then run and under Jawata, and run and under Jawane, a session be do that yamos. Nandro and Dendro Jawane, Tishi, which Chasen to do that yamba, was out that deep, Lucy don't in Jerusalem.
So the source for this is there's a passage in this text, which is part of the Vinaya, the text on ethical discipline, where Lord Buddha has said that a number of beings going from the higher states of existence, the desirable or happy destinies within samsara, to the lower evil destinies of lower states of existence, is like the number of particles in Mount Meru, and then the number of or maybe la di gange lungi chema so the number of beings that fall from the higher states of rebirth into the lower states of rebirth is like the particles of dust in the earth, the entire earth. The number of beings that go from the lower states of existence to a higher state of existence is like the particles of dust that might exist upon the fingernail of the Tathagata.
Oh yeah, that digi better la. I said it, Zama Gani Pu. Lian Yin Xi Du.
The example that's given for this is Jamadagni, who did away with the members of the royal caste, it says here the Kshatriya or aristocracy, 21 times.
오야 다니와 니바 미제베 토리지 텐도 세바 가바니 아니 갈세 니나 유로 좋아라 유니 미베 자주데 치지로도 주지 주시시기 양다데세 아자젠 디발라 제베 매바 양세 라 고스 미게와라 제바 임베 매바 양 아자젠 민베 토리지 텐도 아니 덴도토베테 베바 리소시나
So the next point is how it's inappropriate. This is a rejection of not performing negative actions because of one's desire to achieve rebirth in the high states of existence alone, out of attachment for that.
리소시나 지된데나 아니 지된데나 치마 안에 온도 3일 공방 토리지 텐도 아니 토리지 안에 때 토비 태조 안에 상주开란데서每个지구 수준이라서 와 아니 그 동바开란데 데비 유라 대자기 아니 세배 유 데배 유라 이중 검네 이로바 주알라 센티나 이로 주알라 라야 토티 이로바 메게 이로바 주암 텐다와 되기 아니 가소리 상주开란바 안 수준이라 때네 라야 아니 토리수 째네 치지저부 이동 원이 미바데 대신도 미바데 대신도 중앙 차바 주대 대단하야 랑게 토비유 요신도 빵네세 라양 대니 텐도 니와 대니 치지로그 최예배 최진라 개와다 대답이 주바 주식이 아니 주지식이 양다바 더바체 뭐야
So then the next point, again, why it is rejected to avoid negative behavior simply out of a desire or a strong attachment to achieve rebirth in heaven or as a human being. And someone might say in this context, although the proud are deprecable because they perform ill deeds, it is appropriate for those without pride to strive for high rebirth. And the answer to that is given in verse 167. Whoever renounces them now will, it is said, obtain sense objects, or one might translate that as just objectives, will obtain their objectives. For what reason would such perverse practice be considered correct? And then the commentary here explains, it is said that those who promise to be chaste in this life, that's a little bit loose. Here, that refers to maintaining conduct of ethical discipline, particularly the abstention from the 10 kinds of non-virtuous actions. So one who promises to live that sort of pure life, pure conduct life, brahmacharya, for the sake of a high rebirth in the future, and who renounces sense objects, having cultivated antipathy towards them, will, as a result of their practice, have whatever attractive objects they desire when they take a high rebirth. If accordingly, out of aversion, one gives up the things one has, it is a perverse practice to seek them again.
오야 나 전도 예와 대니 치질로도 주비 최유배 개외 대답을 주바 지시대 양다와 더바 체대 제미리대 nen지 도와 티 nen지 도와 티 렘바 미리소 nen지 도와 더바 체대 nen지 도와 티 렘바 미리소 배나 룩동와 더베 릉보 소야 다도 라바 멤버 시노
So why would a wise person consider such a pursuit correct? Here, in the previous line, it said perverse practice, or dharma, which is contrary, actually. It's the opposite of what dharma ought to be. It is unreasonable to seek what one has deliberately renounced. and it is like the following analogy. When rams want to butt, though they first recoil, it is, she translates it as perverse, but I think actually this means they go far away from it again. So they do so in order to charge. That's the basic gist of it.
Oh yeah, that's Sumba. Oh, that Torigit on the Hamilton, then you turn to less of a Cerado Cabala. Longitudinal, longer business of a John to the less of a Gaba. Jidenji Chilu la Chamber less of a Gaba. You don't return to less of a Gaba. Want you return to less of a Gaba. Chima Chubi turn to less, Sebe less of a Gaba. They check on them, Reshumaje. Longer return to less of a Gaba. Oh, that Sonan Debu Chubate. Tele Sun Chana. Now to Shanla Sunjaka Tenichita Taki Juru. I dig longitude to less of a Gabate. The old longitude Jan Tiang, longitude Jan, and it tell us about Michates. Jimbala so your son and the devil Chubate longite, Chubate longite, and he Chongum Badang. Longe Chunga de la Ideme, but Chongum Badang, Medang, Chudang, Chuzo Shen Layang, Yitabar Sungana. Jimbala so your son and devil Chubatan, Chubate longite, Chongum Badam, Medang, Chudang, Shen La Yitabar Sunga Chaguna. Dado Shenle Beba Songa Chaba Kain Batini Chidar Rawando Juve, Dagawa Churu, Rawando Juve, Dagawa Churu. Devu Chujang, Deshi Panto Miniso, the Devu the Truba de Yinayang, Rangu Dabashin the Panto Miniso. In that, yeah,
So the next point is a rejection of the idea that one ought to accumulate karma in order to achieve high rebirth as in heaven or as a human in particular. There's multiple subdivisions. We won't go through all of the subdivisions here. Again, they're in the appendix to the translation. So first comes within the outline comes the rejection of the idea that it's appropriate to accumulate karma for the sake of enjoyment, especially material wealth and things like that. This is given in verse 168, where it says, wealth at the result of merit must be thoroughly protected from others. How can that which must be constantly protected from others be one's own? Even those with large resources, a great deal of wealth, should not be attached to it. For wealth, the result of meritorious actions like giving, wealth comes about because we achieve wealth in this life from our generosity in the past. Nevertheless, the result, the wealth, must constantly be protected from other factors such as robbers, it says robbers, thieves, same thing, fire, water, and so forth. How can anything needing constant and diligent protection from other factors be one's own exclusive property over which one has control? Though the effects have been accomplished, they cannot benefit one as one desires.
Oh yeah, that is Lama Shindu, Lama Dan Sunguna. So
the need to expend effort constantly on their account is like the example it's given for this is like a guru. The need when one has a guru, one needs to constantly serve and rely upon the guru.
Oh yeah, then you want to then you chill la chambe. Less of a Gabate, Jidembi, Jidetulu Kanda Kang, Tedan Tela Cheju, Tichina Chevejan, Jidentum Dentabunang, say, oh, Jizuji Chijelo Yina, Jimbala so Chijelo Yina, and 지대나 차비 추루지 제수 주바 차고 현아 다 가서 현아 텔레 샴바 미리데 아니 지대 수로 간다 강 지대지 수로 파마 동네서 간다 강인바 텔라 최지자 제수 주대 지대 비체서 최지자 제수 주대 지대 수로 간다 강 대단 텔라 최지 주 수로 텔라 최시 차배소 지대라 차배소 지dem체 대야 아니 가서래 유당 돼지 채발 유지 채바당 돼지 채바당 채발래 아니 남바 현당 현도 주와 유셔그 왕게 아니 남바 현당 현도 주와 라랑 그 유셔기 남바 현당 현도 주와 대체 아니 가서래 최외장 지대뭐 또단대뭐도 나양 어제네 대신에 최외자 지대 동단다 보낭 세대라 최외자 지대 뭐 또단대뭐도 보나양 타지도 미네바텔라 아니 샤바 미리소.
The next point is rejection of the idea that one should accumulate karma out of attachment, affection towards worldly practices, worldly customs. So this verse is 169. The hypothetical question could be that if practices like giving are wrong, so if practices like giving are wrong, one should follow conventionally accepted practices. Here there's the word chur or dharma has multiple connotations. It's often, dharma of course means like the Buddha dharma, the religion or teaching of the Buddha, but the same term dharma is used for social customs and other things like that. So to make sense of this passage, you have to know that. And it says here, if dharma such as giving is wrong, one should follow conventionally accepted dharma that's accepted in the world. The reply to that, attachment or adherence to those is also improper. And the verse then says, different social customs, different worldly traditions are termed dharma. They're given the term, they're called dharma, or he says religious practices here, but they're not, that doesn't really mean religious necessarily. Thus it seems as if society has more influence than dharma. The term dharma is applied to different social customs like giving away and taking a bride. Such traditions are called dharma, but they change according to place and time. As we see obviously in different parts of the world, different regions, there are different customs, and the customs change according to the place you are and when the period that you're in. It is therefore improper to be attached to society, which, though it appears more influential than dharma, than religion, does not remain stable.
유단 tweji chapale sadi bimenda yuji chapale sina ane biu gashena ane pomo pamalan bashino.
So the example is given here. In some regions, it's the custom of taking one's own daughter as a bride.
Oh yeah, that's what you do tend to less of a kaba in a soba kaba ni. Uni give you on uni give you on uni give you on you down number 2 in. Kashi Tawa Shijuba, Tejuba, Jishicha. In that you do on Meba, and it was Mishula. There was some Devati, and it Rajasanam, Sonam, Gavelaji, Yimbe, and it David Tendu, you do on La Sibe, Sebaki, and the Sonam Chawashana.
So next comes the rejection of the idea that it's that one ought to accumulate karma for the sake of attractive objects, Someone might say, pleasure does not occur without attractive sense objects. Since these are the result of merit, it is permissible to perform meritorious actions out of attachment to attractive objects in order to have pleasure. The reply to that is given in the verse. Through virtue there are attractive objects, but such objects too are considered bad. By giving them up, one will be happy. What need is there to acquire them?
Oh yeah, that's it. 가서래 수다라 소위 윤이 개와 요나 아차로와 어디 대체 다 수다라 소위 아니 가서래 개와 윤이 지소 개와 이동와 터바 누나 아니 루 지소 개와 그 이동와 터바 누나 아니 대배 유대야 타바 대바 남진 아바티 시메바 참 말이데 텐더 유대배 유대 수다라 소바 대배 유대 타바 대바 남진 아바티 시메바 차와 인데세 대마이 비자와 임비셔로
So though attractive visual forms, sounds, and other objects are obtained through virtues like giving, those who desire liberation disparage and consider even such sense objects bad, since they are the root of futility and make us constantly affected by suffering and impermanence.
Oh yeah. 그래서 정말 이베사와 이베세르스 미다바다 아 유대 태양 안 받는데 맞대로에 미다바다 동화라서 되다도 넘버 1와 7당 미다바다 동화와 소지 다도 아라니 넘버 1와 7당因为 중공 강시 땅의 시신 예와 그 정화 강시 땅에 아니 시와문다 시와문 겨울에 주비 주바에 지시 거대 거와 지암에도
So again, so that which makes us, by giving them up, if we give them up, they make us happy. It says, you could also translate that as fortunate. And then what's the point of getting them in the first place? If these things are the root of futility, is translated, or meaninglessness, and they constantly make us suffer, and we're subject to impermanence because of them. If one can become fortunate or happy and virtuous by giving up a source of faults, what need is there to acquire it? No need at all.
Oh yeah, that is. 지텔라 가서래 베텔라 베나겔롱 가시 감보지 이유도 송바지 메마나 감보지 이유도 소념라 송와나 유지전식의 유디 지양 마마시 제매와 신데
The example that's given in Chandrakirti's commentary is a certain monk went to beg for alms in a place that says Kambodse. I'm not sure if that's Cambodia or not. But anyway, she has reconstructed it as Cambodia. But this place, anyway, the monk went there. A trickster told him not to speak when he was in that country. So then next comes rejection of the idea that it's appropriate to accumulate karma in order to gain dominion, that kind of power. And someone might say, well, sense objects should be disparaged, but one ought to create merit for the sake of kingship, for sovereignty, a source of superlative pleasure. The answer is that is inappropriate. It is inappropriate to do that. For one not in need of authority, practices for that end are meaningless. Whoever strives for authority is called a fool among men.
Oh yeah, that 미리 대세 다슴라 왕 토버기 난조와라 이나 아니 랑그 데뷔 된 배바메바 주배 아니 자위 깔롱 거와 메라 깔롱 거와 메라 스카라 깔롱 거와 메파 메라 아 뒤에도 김바 동와서 장 김바 동와서 최태메바 주로 대라 최대 메바 주로서 아니 가야 측점진 아주 깔롱 텐도냐와 대세 측점진 아주 그 깔롱 텐도냐와 대니 주나는 림보시 차대세 가야 깔롱 되니 깨나 뉴시차 측점진 아주 깔롱 텐도냐와 대니 주나는 림보시 차대 되면 봐 되면 봐 준비 자와 자시 텐도이 싫어
Then for adepts who have gained, it says in the text actually yogis or yoginis, who have gained control over their minds and can effortlessly accomplish whatever they desire. Practices such as giving for the sake of attaining worldly authority are senseless, meaningless. Whoever strives for the authority of mere verbal domination is a fool among men because he seeks a kingship which is a source of great futility. It's like the following analogy. An astrologer had a lovable son whom he killed when he knew that the boy would die after 6 days. We'll stop early today because there's sojong for monks and nuns.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.